Good morning. This is Joseph the Barber. And today I'm going to be talking about something I do every month, and which, well, not every month, but something I try to do most months, and which I'm trying to do every month for this year. It's sort of like a New Year's resolution, although, I don't know. So, most months I do what I like to call a script of the month, where I won't learn a language, but I'll learn a writing system over the course of a month. So I've done this before for for scripts like Devanagari, Bengali. I've done the Cyrillic script, things like that. I found that for most scripts, a month is a pretty good time frame. Not really for the more intricate scripts like Arabic or so. Those normally take a lot more than 1 month to get down. But this month, I got a recommendation from a friend that I should do Hangul this month, which is the script in which the Korean language is written. So I started December the 1st, and I'm just going to go through what I've been doing every day, and then I'm going to do today's for you on camera. So I hope this doesn't take too long. But pretty much what I started with is, so I did a little bit of preliminary research into the structure of Hangul, and I found that there's different, well, not that they would distinguish between them, but there's ways that I can distinguish between their different letters by sorting them into groups. So I've got like basic consonants, basic vowels, and then there's more intricate double consonants and more intricate vowels. And then there's consonants at the ends of words make different sounds. So I broke those 5 groups apart, and I decided to start with just the basic consonants and the basic vowels, which you can see here. So these are things like g, m, ts, p, la. They're not very hard because a lot of them are pretty similar to how they are in English. When you see symbols here that aren't in English, if you're familiar with the International Phonetic Alphabet, they're sort of like that, except I've put my own twist on them to make it easier for me to understand my own notes. So I think later on, when I do the word final consonants, I use expressions like this, which would be, in the IPA, a palatalized N, but which I have been using just to mark how English ends words with an N. So I've just been using it in a very Anglo-centric way to make it easier for me to tell what it means. So what I did every day after this first day is I tried to copy down all the information from memory, like a fun little challenge. So as I get more sure of what the sounds are that the basic consonants make, I've been focusing more on just getting them in the right order. And as you can see, by this point, I'm not even like writing the sounds they make, just trying to get them in order. And I've almost got it, but I still need a little more work. As I got more confident with the consonants and the vowels as well, I started working in the more intricate ones I was telling you about earlier. So starting December the 3rd, I started using the more intricate vowels and the double consonants. These are things like we, wi, the, sa, ka. And then I started using the ending, like the consonants at the ends of words that make different sounds. So you've got things like gag, non, dath, liu, mim, bob, sio, jute, and kuk. I'm probably not pronouncing them right, but pronunciation is something I'm going to continue to work on, especially in the later weeks. So I've just been, as you can see, it takes up a little less space every day, and if you replicate this, it should be similar for you, because every day you should be improving just a little bit, and that'll make it not take as much time writing notes, correcting mistakes, things like that. So now I think I'm going to do today, December the 6th, just to show you the process. So I'm going to write the date here at the top, December the 6th. And I'm going to start with all my consonants, regular and doubled. So we've got g, n, t, l, m, b. This one doesn't make any sound at all, unless it's at the end of a word, but it isn't for this. After that comes th, and then j, and then ch, which also have these, which are just other ways to write them. So I've been marking them down too. A fun tip that I noticed real early on, if you know what voicing means in consonants, there's pairs that have like only one line as a difference, and these are usually voiced, unvoiced pairs. So j and ch, the only difference is whether they're voiced. Voicing, if you sort of, this is going to work best if you speak English. So if you don't, well, you've got multiple problems, this being one of them. The other being, how have you made it this far in the video? But if you put your hand on your throat, and you make the sound t, and then you make the sound duh, you'll notice that you're moving your lips. That's the T sound followed by the D sound. You'll be moving your lips the same way. The only difference will be that your throat will sort of vibrate a little. So t and duh. It's the same thing with k and g, where one of them vibrates and the other one doesn't. And when you're vibrating your throat to make a noise, we call that voicing it, as compared to unvoiced, which is what it is when you don't do that. So this is g, that's voiced. So its unvoiced pair is k, which is just the same thing with a line. Same with same with duh and ta, which sort of looks like the letter E, but they shouldn't be confused. Or ba, well, it doesn't really work for this one, but ba and pa. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. And then lastly comes h, which you can remember because it has this little hat, and hat starts with an H. So we've got g, n, t, l, m, b, th, j, ch, k, t, p, and h. And then we've also got our double consonants, which are q, the, b, p, p. Hard to make that sound because that's not a sound I'm very familiar with as an English speaker. P, s, and which sound does this one make? Not sure. Let me think for a moment. I think it just makes the t, or the t sound. T. Yeah, that sounds right. T. Because the other ones are ch and j, so t. Next we have our vowels. A. Ya. I'm using J to represent the y sound, because that's how it is in IPA, and also force of habit. U. U. Y. Then we just have E. This marks where the vowels go relative to the consonants. So some vowels go next to, some vowels go under. So next we've got A. But then we've got Y. Then we've got a different A. and a different ye, but I'm pretty sure they're pronounced almost exactly the same way in Korean. So somebody, if you know better than I do, feel free to correct me in the down below. So I think that's all of those. So moving on to the vowels that go below the consonants. That's not it. O. Yo. U. U. And this is also sort of like a progress update, so I might do another one of these in a week or two, less as a demonstration of how the process works, and more of a how effective has it been over this time period for me. So after U comes, that's the rounded version of E, so E, E. It sort of looks like a W, but don't confuse it with a W because it's not. So next we've got we, followed by we, followed by we, followed by w, I still don't have this sound down, even though I think it is in English. Followed by way. 3 different ways. These ones are pronounced differently, and I haven't quite mastered the subtle difference between them. So that one is going to take a little more time. Like I said, pronunciation is something I'm going to focus on once I've got the script down. I believe. Oh, these are all wrong. Oops. We. And then ui. And then I mentioned word final consonants, so they make slightly different sounds. So you could sort of categorize them like the ones that function the same way as they do in English, which would be na, ma, ba, and pa, because they all are pronounced at the end in a similar way to English, where they're subtly different. It's like in a mam, and man, and map, and mob. They're slightly different than if they were word initial, but they are similar to English, so they shouldn't be too difficult for me. Next, we have the ones that soften at the end of words, which is, I guess, a personally subjective description of how it works. But to me, it sounds like they're getting softer. So this includes ta, or ga, which becomes ga, or it doesn't become ga, but it becomes ag at the end of a word. Same with the ta, which becomes ath, sort of like a cross between a th and no sound at all. That's how I usually mark it too. So this would be like between a ga and no sound at all, between a the and no sound at all. It's the same thing with ka, which becomes a cross between q and no sound at all. And lastly, you've got the ones that oh, and then these 3 are in the first category. Or not these 3. 2 of these ones are in the first category. But they actually don't change sound at all. Because if you recall, these are s and k, which k isn't really in English, so it doesn't change. And doesn't really change at the end of words in English either. Words like bass and farce. So lastly, we've got the ones that just change sound. So that would be most of the rest of these, except for the ones that aren't ever at the ends of words. So, like, for example, la becomes ra instead of la, or really the, ra, like Spanish R. So like car, leer, ir, things like that. Ir. O become, this is the weirdest one because the one that doesn't make any sound at all becomes the ng in words like running. So it goes from no sound at all to nga or ung. Same with the soft S. It becomes a glottal stop, which I find interesting. Especially because there's two glottal stops, and I'm sure they're different somehow, but I'm just not used to that sort of a thing. Cha becomes just ta at the end, and ha either becomes a glottal stop or it takes on the next letter in the word. And that's pretty much how I do it every day. Like I said, as I get better, I add more and more things to get a more full experience and a better grasp of how everything ties together. But just from this first week, I can write very basic, or at least interpret very basic word syllables. So this would be galu. I don't know if that means anything, but, or for example, this would be, I guess, pronounced ang. So if I swap that out for the S, this would be pronounced song, quite similar to the word song. Or that would be ta. If I add an e, tu, and then I add an n, this would be tune. Yeah. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you're having a wonderful January, and hopefully you are getting some snow where you are if you're in the northern hemisphere, or enjoying the warm weather if you're in the southern hemisphere. Well, goodbye.